When did you first start playing tennis, and was there a moment when you all of a sudden realized, I love this?
Yeah, no, I think my story is probably similar to a lot of coaches in the industry. I was exposed through family. My dad played, so he was a club player. He loved the sport. And when I was a young kid, that was babysitting, basically. He'd take me at 4 or 5 years old to the club and let me run around. I grew up in a traditional club setting. Grew up in Australia, so at that time there was a very strong club culture where parents, grandparents, kids would all be at the club on a weekend all day, and you would sort of play pickup matches. So when I started getting good enough to play with older people at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I was on court sometimes with 60 or 70-year-olds, and we'd be playing mixed doubles, and that was sort of the way I learned in a very open environment, a lot of great mentors that were just recreational club players that loved the game. And then over time got really, passionate about the sport and committed to it, and really got interested in becoming as good as I could be, and really had the goal of being a professional tennis player. And then went through a lot of the high-performance type programs that were set up by the Federation in Australia at that time, and, played internationally and was fortunate enough to play a few junior Grand Slams and really, get exposed to the top of the game. So from my standpoint, I was exposed to it like a lot of people through family, but then as I really got the tennis bug and wanted to play more and more, then went into the high-performance route.
Yeah, that's great. And so what part of Australia are you from?
I'm from Melbourne originally, so I grew up 15 minutes from where the Australian Open is currently played. So it's a very tennis-crazy area of the world, especially back in the time I grew up. Australia was still one of the top 3 countries in the world in the rankings. So it was a major sport at that time.
And so, but there wasn't really a moment where you said to yourself, wow, I love this. It just kind of grew on you over time then?
Yeah, I think it was just, I always remember playing and being around it. I played a lot of other sports when I was young as well. Played Australian rules football and cricket were my 2 sort of other major sports. And so I was a 3-sport athlete until I was about 13, and then really, prioritized tennis from 13 onwards.
Well, yeah, and I remember being between things and clicking on some TV and seeing some Australian rules football.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a crazy sport, and it's very athletic. The skills that you learn in that sport are great for young kids because you learn to kick, you learn to catch, you learn to run and tackle, and basically do everything you need to do to be an athlete.
Yeah, it really seems like an incredible battle. Not a lot of real heavy-duty strategy, but definitely an athletic contest for sure. So, okay, so moving past Australian rules football, now, so when you were in your junior career and moving towards, playing in the pros, what were some of the breakthroughs or adversities that you faced?
Yeah, no, I think, one of the challenges I had, which really changed, I think, my career path was when I was 16, I was sort of top 3 in Australia as a junior. And at that time, if you were that highly ranked, your path was basically to leave high school and to play full-time as a professional tennis player. And it was, coming up to the major period of the national tournaments, the big national tournaments where a lot of the agents are there, and it's sort of that breakthrough time. And I was sick leading into that, about 3 weeks into that. And I kept training and just playing through it. I just thought it was a regular cold. And I actually, after the fact, found out that I had mono, pretty bad. In Australia, they call it glandular fever. And that was something that, really knocked me about for about 6 months. I was in the house, couldn't really leave the house very much. I lost a lot of weight and really wasn't able to hit a tennis ball for 6 months or so, and then after that it took me over a year to really get back to just playing at a good level. So that sort of changed my pathway a little bit, and looking back, it could have been a great thing at the time. It was very frustrating, but it got me to the U.S. college system because I had to get my game back and develop, and so I ended up coming to the U.S., being exposed to the college tennis system, and that was a great benefit to me, and something that probably wouldn't have happened if this, at the time, it was a disaster for me. But over the long term, it was possibly a positive.